Yeah, g'day, this is David from Simple Yoga Classes. We've got George with us. George has been really helpful today. Today's classes we're going to talk about permaculture and yoga and how complementary permaculture and yoga is. And as with every class I teach, it's important to ground, and today's going to be very informal, but it's good to just take a breath. So today's class about permaculture and about yoga, and the word yoga means to use, to join. And permaculture, which Nathan and Jess, Nathan's my nephew, Jess is his lovely wife, and they've been visiting, and we've been sharing a lot about how complementary both our modalities are, if you like, or the idea of permaculture and yoga. And we thought it might be useful for people to understand that to practice yoga, which is such a beautiful practice, joining body, mind and spirit through the breath. And we thought, Nathan and Jess are going to talk about permaculture and what it means to them. They're on a journey around Australia. They're woofing with the opportunities that they get, and it's just wonderful, to share time with people, and that's really what permaculture's about, and that's what yoga's about. So I'm going to hand over to Jess and Nathan, and they're just going to talk about their journey and what they've been up to, and George is holding the microphone. He's been useful, and George is our wise soul, and permaculture needs wise people, and wisdom doesn't come with age. There's a lot of wisdom in young people. So okay, guys, just talk about your experience with permaculture.
Yeah, thanks, David. So, as David mentioned, Jess and I are travelling this year to learn more about permaculture. So we've been researching permaculture for about 7 years now, and we finally decided this year that it was going to be the year for us to go and learn firsthand about permaculture. So for those of you that don't know about permaculture, basically permaculture is derived from the words permanent agriculture. And the main principles of permaculture are earth care, people care, fair share. And like David said, there's some resonance between yoga and permaculture, and they really do go hand in hand. And I guess one of the main aims of the permaculture is really to create a sustainable systems that help us to think carefully about our environment and how, and now and for future generations. And that's really what Jess and I are trying to learn about this year through permaculture. So Jess just sort of wanted to touch on her experience with yoga and permaculture, and
we've been very fortunate. So far we've completed about 4 woofing experiences, and if you don't know what woofing stands for, it stands for Willing Workers on Organic Farms. And there's so many other abbreviations and terms, so we've been very fortunate, and during this experience, we've actually come across many people who, when they host permaculture, and they run yoga studios. So it's interesting. I'm still learning more about yoga with David and Nathan with permaculture. So I think it's quite interesting. It's what it's doing, and I find it quite rewarding.
Yeah.
But I love being outside, and actually we should do a yoga class outside.
Yeah, on the balcony.
Yeah, with George.
Now talk about the first-use plastic, because I haven't really thought about it too much, but tell me about first-use plastics and just how bad they are for us.
Yeah, so one thing I've been researching for quite a few years now is single-use plastics and the effect that they're having on the environment. And basically, single-use plastics are, they're common throughout grocery stores. So things like chip packages and basically pretty much any item that you look at through the grocery store has single-use plastics on it. So these disposable plastics that you're never going to use again. Yeah. And basically, they're just creating this huge problem that we can't reuse these items because it takes so much energy to turn these plastics into another usable item. So they're basically just accumulating in landfills and in oceans as well. So there's a lot of efforts at the moment that people are going to try and clean up the oceans of all these single-use plastics, and they're having a lot of effects on marine life, and the whole ecosystem of the ocean is really suffering from the effects of these single-use
And
plastics.
that thing you shared on Facebook, like you take your stuff to recycling and the single-use plastics fall through and they break down into smaller and smaller bits, which are then eaten by the fish, and the fish ended up...
Microplastics.
Microplastics, that's the word, yeah.
They believe that all the seafood we're consuming at the moment contain microplastics. So it's scary to think that what we're eating now is, they're consuming plastics, this big problem. And I think it's fantastic where some of us are making changes, but unfortunately I don't think it's enough. And we need to do more.
Yeah.
We really do.
So one initiative is to cut single-use plastics out for 1 month. So the month of July, basically just try and cut out as many single-use plastics as you can through that month, and just see how challenging it actually is. It really opens your eyes to how many single-use plastics we come across every day in our normal lives. So it's really eye-opening. Jess and I have been cutting out single-use plastics now for about 3 months, and we keep a tally of how many single-use plastic items that we have accumulated, and we actually keep that documented on our blog. So but we encourage everyone to give it a go and just see what's involved in it.
That article or that thing on Facebook was saying if you can get something wrapped in paper, it's so much better because the paper decomposes and breaks down so much better than the single-use plastic. And if you're going to drink a beer, we were tossing up whether beer out of a can or out of glass, which was going to use the least energy to produce. And then I said beer's got an extra 30 mils in it if it's in a can. And I think a can. I just think glass is made out of sand, and aluminium in a beer can. So I don't know if anyone's got some comments on whether we should drink beer out of glass or a can. That would be really helpful.
Yeah.
And we've been watching this series on TV. I think it's called The Time of the Sixth Sense, and it is amazing. I can't recommend it highly enough. And they're talking about sustainability and the guts of or the essence of what this movie's about is that if we don't start to look after Mother Nature better, she will take her own course to look after herself. And we really have not been good custodians of the earth. And if we don't start now, our generations, just 1 or 2, 3 down the track, they're really going to suffer for our irresponsibility,
Selfishness.
Yeah, selfishness. And if we don't do it now, when? We've got to start. And people think, well, if I am the only one that's worrying about single-use plastics, what difference is it going to make? But if enough of us start to worry about it and be concerned about it and doing the right thing. And another thing that I picked up last night is, the wise people and the elder people, if we don't share what we've learned through our time and try and make a difference for the people following us from our experience, we're not fulfilling our obligation being older. And I know that wisdom doesn't come with age. It really doesn't. Like, people my age do a lot of stupid stuff. But sometimes we get it right, Yeah. Is there anything else that comes to mind you'd like to share?
I think what I'd like to comment on is yoga. About 7 or 8 years ago, I did a first yoga class, and I found it difficult and quite stressful, and it was strenuous. And I've been a yoga hater, let's just say, for those 7, 8 years. And then I went to David's class, and what I really enjoyed about yoga is that I think you said in one of your sessions that you can make it as difficult as you want to, or have an easy session. And that's what I really enjoyed about this yoga session. I didn't have to. It wasn't a difficult experience. It was quite simplistic, and the movement in body and breath, I thought that was quite refreshing, and I'd never experienced something like that before. So now what I would like to do, I'd like to get back into trying what yoga is and learning more about it and connectivity.
And I did share my simple yoga classes with Leila Schwartz, I think it is, and the biggest component of my yoga practice is my meditation practice, and through this channel and through simple yoga classes, I'm going to come back and focus on what I love particularly about my yoga practice, which is my meditation. what I'm considering doing is just having the camera set up in the morning, broadcasting live, and it's probably going to be black. It's going to be really dark, and you're going to see the sunrise, and this is going to be your opportunity to just sit with someone else. And you know, there's so much just sharing a meditation practice with someone that's so special. Yeah, so if you like what you see, please press subscribe, the notification bell, and let's share worldwide, you know, more about, you know, permaculture and how we need to be custodians of the earth, and through our yoga practice, connecting body, mind, and spirit through our breath, and we can make a difference. Truly believe that, because if we don't believe it, no one else can. So thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.